And I really draw the similarities to obviously a coach, whether it's a physical personal trainer coach or a business coach. Similar, if, for example, I joined up to a gym and there's I've got a PT session at 5:30, I've got to get up at 5 o'clock because I've paid $120 an hour for a PT. And so that's why I find that the value in having a coach is so important, because they're keeping you accountable. There's someone else there that's saying, hey, don't leave me hanging, because you're not just letting yourself down, you're letting me down as well, because I made an appointment with you to do that. So
use whatever you can.
Yeah.
Use whatever you can to motivate yourself. Obviously, I'm a coach. I'm biased and would, but you don't have to use a coach. Find someone who's going to hold you accountable. It doesn't have to be where you pay money for someone to do that. Just find someone who's going to hold you to account, where you feel a greater responsibility to do that. But I would strongly urge people to look within. Look within, and that is, it's fine to have an accountability coach. You touched on before around making yourself redundant. Make others redundant in the fact that you are holding yourself to account.
Yeah.
You are starting to introduce the disciplines to hold yourself to account. And you don't have to go from here to here. You can just start small and start with one meeting and commit. Do one thing and commit. I'm going to do that. Okay, I've done that. Now do another. I'm going to commit. Do another. And you do that long enough, and you start to then change the habits.
And
do things more sustainably.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to talk about hacks, and when I say hacks is, sort of clever ways to either Ryder Ray, she talks about, what if you sleep longer, sleep faster, and I follow sort of the bulletproof diet, and the gentleman that talks about how to hack your sleep and have more sleep, or whichever. Is that something that you have ever tried yourself, or you've seen people perform successfully?
No, not for sleep. No.
Yeah.
No, not for sleep. I haven't. So I'm pretty traditional in my sleep, and that is that if I'm going to get up early, I like to go to bed early. And in fact, when I was getting up at 4 o'clock, the kids used to laugh because Dad would go to bed before them. Yeah. So it was a bit of fun in our household, where the kids are a bit older now. My boy's 16, my girl's 14. But if we go back in 2015 when I started all this, they were 12 and 9, and it was a lot of fun for them. So no, not in regards to sleep. Look, I've shared a few hacks with people around don't have a to-do list. Actually put it into your calendar, right? So that's a hack. That's what I would call a hack, because again, you start to have to-do lists, and then you start to have post-it notes, and then you've got all this stuff in your office, and you don't know which way to turn. Actually say, you know what? This activity I think is going to take me half an hour. So it might be from 4 o'clock till 4:30. I'm going to call agents. You want to find a property? Let's link it back to what this is all about, the business of property. Maybe it is from 4 to 4:30 or from 4 to 5 o'clock, you're going to call agents, and you've got it in your calendar. So that's the hack. The other part of the hack is stick to it. 4 o'clock, bang, I'm on the phone and I'm calling agents, and I'm dropping all the other stuff that I'm going to do, because my goal is I need to find that property. And I know that by calling agents, that's going to take me a step closer to finding my goal. And there's obviously other steps after that, right? So it's call the agents, do a feasibility, put in an offer, go to contract, negotiate, etc. Right? So there's other steps in there, but just simplistically allocate the time to do that. So like I said before, I would allocate time in my morning where I'd be doing my feasos. Okay, so they were the hacks that I did by actually putting it in to my calendar. You touched on your morning routine. I've got my morning routine in my phone every single day. I've got time for lunch. All these sorts of things. I put that into my calendar.
Yeah, I do a similar thing as well. I've got task A, calls. Then it's blocking out a time where I'm just not doing my work. And excuse me, there'll be people here that might call, and I've have a little reminder that says, I'll call back, but in that time, and calls. And this is the thing, I love technology. I love that we're so easily, accessible by everyone, our phones, our internet, email, and everything else. But they're so enormously distracting, where we're so...
Turn them off.
Turn them off.
Turn it off. Turn it off. Put it on airplane mode.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
if you've got, again, this is the whole urgent versus important. If it's your important time, if it's your strategy time, if it's time when you need to think about how am I going to grow my business, and I need to have creative thought, and I need to just have space, turn your phone off. Put it onto airplane mode. By putting your phone onto airplane mode for an hour, is the sky going to cave in? Nope. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's not going to be, but it's, oh my goodness, I couldn't possibly turn it on. I'm going to be disconnected from the whole world. Well, you got to flip that around and actually say, you know what? I'm really excited to be disconnected from the whole world because I'm going to spend some time working on my business, and I'm going to spend some time creating growth strategies for where I want to take my business. So turn the damn thing off. I sleep with my phone on airplane mode. My family know that if there's a disaster, call my wife because they know that I sleep with it on airplane mode, and I wake up with it on airplane mode, and I go straight into my morning routine. How many people get up, first thing they do, get up, look at the phone, see the number of likes or see what's on the news or whatever, all this negative stuff, and of course you start your day in such a negative state, and then it continues through the day, and you wonder at the end of the day why you had a crappy day. Why don't you have the phone on airplane mode? Why don't you wake up, and if you're into morning routines like I am, spend time on yourself. You touched on it before, Cheryl, and get yourself into an amazing state. Fill your cup up as a priority. Like you said, hey kids, if mummy's meditating, leave her alone. This is mummy's time, and then you're able to get on and encounter whatever the day is going to throw at you. So look, I'd encourage people to shut down the phone. If you've got another hack, if you've got the little ding that comes on with emails, shut that damn thing down, turn the sound off, or shut that down. Number of people who you'll be in the middle of something, ding, I wonder what Jane has said, or I wonder what Rick has said, or you're breaking your concentration. If that's your strategy time, then you want to be allocating the time on that. And that email, I promise you, if you left that email an hour, really ask yourself, is it really that urgent? Now, there might be the odd occasion, right? So I'm not saying, but I've got to say in the majority of occasions, that 1 hour, the sky's not going to cave in.
If it's urgent, people will call you. And if they miss one call, they'll give you, if it's super urgent, they'll give you a lot of calls. And by that time, you sort of know it's time to call them back. But
well, the other thing you do by that, the other thing you do with that too, is you create the wrong habit. So if you're the sort of person who every time someone's calling you, you're calling back immediately. You're calling back immediately. And you might need to, but you feel the necessity to, right? You're calling back immediately. Then all of a sudden you've built this expectation up that people can contact you at any time, day or night. And again, you have to be focused on you and your business and the direction you want to head in. And if it means you've got to shut down the phone for an hour, then do it. And you know what? If you're struggling with that, if you go, oh my God, it's an hour, I couldn't possibly, do it for 15 minutes. Challenge yourself. 15 minutes, right? Do that, shut it down, disconnect yourself from the world and see what you can do in 15 minutes. And then when you start to overcome that, maybe do it for 20, maybe do it for 30 and gradually work your way.
One of the, and Richie says, I'm so guilty of checking my phone when I wake up. I mean, it's you're not the only one, Richie. So 98% of the people
don't do it.
And I've actually discovered, I can't remember if it's an app or an iPhone sort of function, that I can actually turn my phone on sleep mode from 9 p.m. till 8 a.m. So I kind of.
I think it's an app function. Yeah. It's an app function. Yeah, I do it manually by just putting it into airplane mode. But yeah, you can certainly put it into a sleep function. But Richie, thanks for the honesty first and foremost. But mate, I'd challenge you as to why you do that. And again, if you see something that's negative, if you see an email, a number of people, and I used to do this a long time ago, and I learnt the hard way. But I would wake up, and the first thing I do is I would check my business emails. So here I am, first thing in the morning, and I'd be checking my business emails, and there'd be, oh no, that's happened, and oh my goodness. And so, you start the day off in such a crappy mood because you're just thinking over breakfast, you're thinking, I've got to sort that mess out, I've got to deal with that person, I've got to blah, 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 blah. What does it matter? Work on you at the appropriate time, turn your emails on, deal with them methodically. But you have to focus on you first. So Richie and anyone else who's out there, I would strongly urge you to spend a bit of time on you first thing in the morning, even if it's 10 or 15 or 20 minutes. Go for a run, go for a walk, do something, sit there and just have a coffee and just think. Right? Just think. Don't even look at your phone. Just think about things. Start to, again, another hack, which we haven't really talked about, is planning. I suppose we have in a way, but it's the old adage of if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So have a plan for your day. Start to think about the things that you want to do, but give yourself the space. And this whole personal development thing, I don't believe it's overly complicated. It's just that people don't allocate the time for it. Give yourself the space to start to be introspective, to start to reflect on where you're at. And perhaps you do that for the first 10, 15, 20 minutes of the day, and then turn your phone on. At least you've started the day thinking about some nice positive things, and then you go from there.
Definitely.
Any other questions there, Cheryl?
Jin, a few more comments. I love the compartmentalization. That's such a big word. Technique. That's brilliant. Thanks, Tony, for sharing that.
That's okay. Thank you.
Sleep faster. To be honest, I have about 5 hours sleep, and if I'm lucky, I get a 15-minute little nap, a little bit of a power nap, and I find that does me through. But as a busy mum, I do try to get a lot in my day. So that's my little sort of sleep hack. Don't know if I can survive less than 7 hours of sleep. Sorry, Jin. Enjoy that.
That's okay.
While you while you can.
But that's okay. Again, go back to this, right? So go back to this. So we've allocated. I've actually allocated 8 hours of sleep here, right? So again, in the wheel of 168 hours in the week, I've actually said let's all sleep for 8. Sleep is important. Like, let's not be silly about it. I mean, there's so many health reports, etc. The critical nature of sleep. So you need to sleep. So I've said 8 hours of sleep, but within all the other things that you're doing, the no time, right? One of the biggest excuses is, oh, Tony, I've got no time. Okay, well, let's pull that apart, because I'm telling you, there's time, and that's the zone there. And it may not be 30, it might be 20, right? But there's 20 hours or there's 15 hours. There's your no time zone, and there's the area that you've got to focus on doing things to start to propel your life forward.
And then if you're outsourcing, you're leveraging your time as well. So you can actually
100%.
add more to that. So Mark makes the comment that you give yourself a personal hourly rate, and then you count how many hours you have lost in a week. That's motivating and goes a long way to making you accountable to yourself. Correct? Yeah. That's right.
That's right. And the thing is, right, when we try and do this thing, so I think about myself, trying to do stuff in IT and all those sorts of things. I'm not very good at it. B, it just takes me forever. And the whole time that I'm doing it, I'm gritting under my teeth, and I wish I was doing other things. And so it's like, you've got to get that stuff off your plate. You've got to clear it all out, because it's the opportunity cost. It's the opportunity cost of it's taking you so much longer. If you gave it to someone who does it regularly, who actually enjoys doing those, because there's plenty of people who enjoy those sorts of tasks, they'll do it very quickly. It frees you up to then go and do the productive things, the important things, the things that are going to ensure that you head towards your goal.
I've got one more thing before we sort of start wrapping up and taking a few questions.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Multitasking. Yay or nay?
Nay. Do not. Nay. Why? Because you're chopping and changing, right? You're chopping and changing all the time. Don't multitask. That's what I said before. That's why I'm saying turn your phone off. Important time, focus on a task for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and just do that, right? To constantly go from this to this, to this, to this, to this. What'll end up happening is your wheels will just do that, and you'll spin and you'll spin and you'll spin, and you won't get any traction. So I'm a big no deal for multitasking.
Focus on the task at hand. Yeah.
Focus on the task at hand. Shut down the distraction. Do the task. You mightn't complete the task because it could be a really big task, but do that block. Do that block for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever it is. Do that, and then that's your block for the day, and then move on to something else. The other thing too, which is, sorry, what's your view on multitasking? Are you a nay as well?
When I'm parenting, I do a lot of multitasking. And I don't know if that's just the nature of being a parent to young people, because
I think that's survival. I think it's a bit of survival.
It's definitely survival, but I have found that because I've been in that mode so often as well, and I try to do so much at one time and everything, I've realized I pulled it back, and that's why that meditation and it really helps, is because it helps me practice. It's actually practicing on focusing. So I've been, I talk about there's a monk called Dandapani, and I don't know if you've heard of him before. He's sort of he's a speaker and he's a monk, and he talks about how we're not practicing concentration enough. We're practicing distraction so easily, which is the multitasking of trying to do that bing, 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 bing. You know, we're so used to that. We're not spending enough time like really training our minds to be focused and concentrated on finishing one thing. So if I'm speaking to you, that should be on focus, should be. And you know, I will attest there will be times where, like I said, because I've been so used to trying to get so much done, now I've realized, no, I actually don't get all of them done well. If I'm cooking and listening to the children and preparing this and that and or whatever, I'm not so concerned about that because there's no level of.
Sure. No, I understand. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, there is a difference there.
So
I get
when
that.
It's my work. It's different. I actually have to really focus and concentrate on the task at hand and focus on what it is that I'm doing. So I do say, you know, I set a time. You know, setting a time, whether it's on the time and say 25 minutes or half an hour, whatever it might be. Just go. I'm not doing and nor am I reacting to anything that comes up in that time. And I've realized how much more I get done. So,
100%. 100%. No, I couldn't agree. Couldn't agree more. That's wonderful, Cheryl. Well done.
No. It's
any other questions? Sorry, any other questions or comments there?
Jin, good point about personal economics 101. Which one was that about? What did you mention there about personal economics 101? Oh, but probably time, the value of your time.
Sure. Sure. Jen, if you're still watching, just explain that for us. I'm assuming that it's about the time side, but yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Any other comments or questions there, Cheryl?
No, time spent, opportunity cost. There we go.
That's it. Yeah, 100%. Well, there you go. So it's the opportunity cost, correct? It's the hey, I'm doing this task here that I'm not very good at. That's going to take me probably 5 times as long. I'm going to hate doing it, so I'm going to get in a foul mood because I'm doing it, and I'm not going to be very good at it. And the whole time over here is I'm not growing my business. I'm not attracting new clients, or I'm not going out there finding properties or whatever it might be. So you have to challenge yourself and ask yourself. And Mark said it earlier. Ask yourself, what's your time worth?
Yeah.
What's your time really worth?
Exactly. So what's our homework for today? What is the homework for those listening in?
Homework for today is to audit yourself. Audit yourself. Grab a spreadsheet. Along the top, put Monday through Sunday. Along the top. In fact, now let's do it from, what are we tonight? Tuesday. Let's do Wednesday through Tuesday, right? So start for tomorrow. Put Wednesday through Tuesday on the top. Down the left-hand side in half-hour increments, whenever you get up, if you get up at 5 or 4 or 6 or whatever your time is, and right through to when you go to bed, and put in 30-minute increments. And all you want to do there, and you could potentially just print this up, so use the grid lines, print it up, take it with you wherever you go, or if you want to type it straight in, either way, it's up to you. But be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself and start to go. When you're watching telly, put down TV. When you're on social media, put down social media. When you're exercising, put down exercise. When you're eating, whatever it is. And then at the end, and try and come up with some top line headlines, right? So it might be, work, sleep, exercise, eating, family. Then you've got, TV, social, reading, side hustle, whatever it is, right? So just some top line headings. And so then at the end of the week, you want to add it all up.
Yeah.
Add it all up, sit there and see if you can't find 15 hours.
Yeah.
See if you can't find, I'll take a picture of this and stick it into the show notes, but see if you can't find your no time zone. That's what you want to find, because it's in the no time zone that you change your life. That little zone there is where your whole life is going to change, when you start to create the time to enable you to do something different. Because as I said before, it's the definition of insanity if you keep doing exactly the same thing and expect a very different outcome.
And this is the last question, Michael. How do you keep your motivation level going over weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks?
Michael, the motivation question, to ask that at the end, mate, that in itself, can we do this? I was going to say, can we do this? Can we do that next week? Because honestly, there's no way in the world that I can do it justice in 30 seconds. But there's a whole range of techniques that you can use. But if you go back to, just let me finish this by saying, if you go back to And in fact, let me say this. So this is how riveting my life is. So on Sunday night, I sat down and I watched a neuroscientist for 2 hours. I mean, I live my life right on the edge, don't I? But my point to that is that part of it was around motivation.
Yeah.
And the highest form of motivation is purpose-driven motivation. So there's actually some science behind the fact that in week 1, if you've been following Cheryl and my program, what did we talk about in week 1? We talked about your why. We talked about your purpose. So that is your highest level of motivation is purpose-driven, and that is you're doing something that's bigger than you. There's something that's bigger than you that's driving you forward. The lowest level of motivation is money motivation, right? So money is the lowest level of motivation. The highest is purpose-driven. And that, when I say purpose-driven, it could be family. It could be I'm doing this because I want to create a legacy for my family. I want to give my kids a head start or whatever. It's bigger than you. Also, so then if you, it's actually a shame because I could have drawn this, but basically he had purpose-driven motivation at the top, money-driven motivation down the bottom, and he had others in between. But then up the top of purpose-driven, it was selfless down to selfish. So that is, if you're purpose-driven, you're selfless. You're doing this for something greater than you. Money motivation, you're selfish. You're doing this for you. Does that make sense? And so study after study after study, and the same will apply in work, in your job. People will say, what is it that you love about your job? Money is not the top answer. It's not. It could be things like, recognition. It could be training and development, teamwork. All these types of things will be higher up the pecking order than the money side. I'm not saying money's not important, but when people solely and wholly go after the money, more times than not, they fall over.
Sorry, I was putting on the light. Sorry about that, Tony. Hijacked you.
So who was that? Someone joining us in. Hey, someone else wants to chime in. Fantastic. We'll have a three-way. So look, the whole motivation question. Thank you for the question. Given the time, can I suggest we do? I'm happy to tackle it for an hour next week, right? Then we can make a really great night of it. But it really is. It deserves a whole lot more than 30 seconds at the end. Any other quick questions there, Cheryl? Before we sign off.
Mark says, quick answer: celebrate every success. Yes, whether it's big or small, and that was one that
correct
on a Friday. Share your successes, big or small or whatever, whatever it might be. It's a success, and I think everyone, especially in the community, I really do love the energy that we have in this group. That
fantastic.
Everyone does share and empowers everyone else in embracing the things that they've done, no matter how big or small it might be. So thanks Mark for that. So. Yeah, no, I think we've got a few gems out of that today. Thank you, Tony.
We have. That's okay. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who's stuck around. I can see there's plenty of people who have stuck around. So I appreciate it. We've been going now for what? 50 minutes. Those who know me well would know that I could probably still be here at midnight, but I shouldn't. But I would probably be here at midnight if allowed to do that. So, but I want to say thank you. We'll see you all next week. If you've got any questions of me, please put them in the show notes. And if you've got some ideas of other things that you want us to discuss, like motivation, like reward and recognition, whatever it might be, please pop it in the show notes, and we can put it into an upcoming week, and we'll tackle it for you and address it and give you plenty of tips and tricks and hacks to help you move forward.
And if you need someone to sort of keep you accountable, you need someone to sort of be up there at your 5 o'clock, sort of making sure that you're up and showing up. Tony Meredith coaching.com.au.
Oh, thank you, Cheryl. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And yeah, please follow my journey, follow my suggestions, advice. I like to put stuff out there onto social media with the view of helping people move forward. If you want to catch up with me directly, you can. But otherwise, there's plenty of free stuff